Well, Canada Soccer has been under scrutiny since DroneGate kind of exploded last week. Now, the COC and Canada Soccer are appealing the 6-point deduction from FIFA as the women's team gets ready to close out its Olympic Group A play on Wednesday against Colombia. But how Canada Soccer's response has been to the scandal from a crisis communications lens, what are the thoughts here? Joining us now for this conversation is Mike Van Solen, partner at high-stakes communications firm Oyster Group. Mike, appreciate you making the time this morning for us. I mean, I suppose the big question is just overall, could Canada Soccer have handled this or managed this better than it has?
Could traffic in Toronto run more smoothly? Yes, absolutely. Canada Soccer has handled this poorly. They've first of all, it's always when you get caught in a situation like this, you need to come out right away and be really clear, share all the information. And we had a couple days where they tried to kind of off the scandal in half. They weren't directly clear with Canadians and with their players with what was going on. That only made it worse. And so they now find themselves in a more difficult situation because it took Bev Priestman some time to be honest with where they were and to come fully out and finally apologize. She's now done that, but even that couple days delay put this in a more difficult situation than it could have been otherwise. The team, this wonderful women's team defending their Olympic gold from 4 years ago, their adversity should come from the teams on the field that they're opposing. The adversity should not come within the organization, and that's why this scandal is so bad and such a bad look for Canada Soccer.
Yeah, it's been this drip, 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 rather than sort of cutting it off at the at the initial stage here. So going forward, how can Canada Soccer change things here? Because this is all centering around Canada Soccer as much as the COC is kind of involved because it's during the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, Canada Soccer now, they'll go forward and they'll make their case for the review and suggest that the 6-point penalty is too much of an overcorrection for what they did. They may or may not be successful. I think what Canada Soccer has to do beyond that review is get out of the way. Let the women get on the field, hopefully have success tomorrow against Colombia. But then after this, after this Olympics, I think there needs to be a full review of Canada Soccer. The board has to get involved. There's clearly a cultural problem. We saw this with the men's team a couple of years ago, a lot of problems there as well. So it suggests to me that the board has to get involved because they're ultimately responsible for hiring the CEO and setting the tone and culture of the place. And that's what's to be required. But get through this next day, do the review, accept your lumps, and then hopefully the business of soccer can get out of the way so the girls can and the women can do what they need to on the field.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I mean, this is, like you alluded to earlier, this is a story that's been such an amazing story. The gold medal last time out, the incredible play on the pitch from so many amazing players. So what are the potential long-term impacts here for Canada Soccer? And I suppose if there are impacts, can those be stemmed as well?
I think, this is why I think there needs to be a root and branch review of Canada Soccer. There will be long-term impacts. Just getting top quality players to want to play for the organization, I think, has been hampered by this. The federal government has said they're suspending their funding. The amount of time it will take for them to build back trust is going to be big, and they can only do that by taking this seriously. I always say, don't just fix the problem, become a champion for fixing the problem. So they need leadership and people to become champions for making Canada Soccer everything that we want. We have incredible soccer fans in this country. We have incredible players in this country. Right now, they do not have an organization deserving of their commitment to this game.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to bring up is the players. We've heard from either current members of the team who've given some pretty emotional and raw interviews over in Paris, and also former members of, the Canadian women's national team, gold medalists, for example, talking about what this is, the impact this is having on them. How do you think the players, either past or present, seem to be handling this scandal that they are sort of all being grouped under?
Yeah, I would say the Vanessa Gillies, her speech after scoring that incredible goal against France is just one of those high water marks in sport. It has echoes of, Phil Esposito so many years ago. So I think the players have it within them to dig deep and do what they need to perform on the field. The trick is, the adversity for them should not be coming from their organization. The adversity should come from the people that they're playing against. Sadly, that's not what we're seeing. But this team, I believe in this team, and I believe they're going to put forward a performance tomorrow that we can all be proud of as Canadians. And the organization, Canada Soccer, has to get out of the way.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, well, we'll see if we can get their opponents out of the way tomorrow. That's Columbia Wednesday night. Mike Van Solen's a partner at high stakes communications firm Oyster Group. Appreciate your insight on this morning. Thanks, Mike.
You bet. Thanks, Nick.